All right, you're live, Council Grow.
Fantastic. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the April 6, 2022 Planning and Development Subcommittee meeting for the Gloucester City Council. On the call tonight, we have Councilor Gilman, Vice Chair. We have Councilor O'Neill, third member of the committee. We have all sorts of people here representing. We have Sherry Carvalis, who is our clerk of committees. And then we have all of our applicants. I won't read you out individually, but consistent with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. Persons who wish to do so are invited to view the meeting at, and since you're already here, you already know that. And that is it. That's all I've got to read anyway. If there's let me finish this off. If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or device, there's a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options to be recognized to speak. And that's that. All right, we've got a little bit of shuffling around to do this evening. I don't know if there's anybody who's attending and coming on the call, but we're gonna give deference to Officer Parody to do his Community Safety Day application first, because he has to get to work. And then we will shift down and talk about the zoning amendment, two categories at the bottom of the agenda there. And then we'll get back up to the block parties and continue on with the agenda as normal. So the first item up tonight will be the special event application request for street closures for the Community Safety Day on September 17th, 2022. And we have Officer Joseph Parody. Is it Parody?
Yes, it is Parody.
On the call, great. So you want to give us a little quick rundown on what this is? And
Yep. So we're going to do another Community Safety Day on the 17th. And there is no changes to years past. It's a partial closure. The road, Harbor Loop gets closed just after the building center on one end, and then just after the Chamber of Commerce on the opposite end. People that own property down there, we make sure that they can still get in there, or there are a few residents. Anybody that needs to get down there for work, they are still allowed. We make sure that they can get down there. But it gets bottlenecked with sawhorses at those points.
This has all been before the Special Events Advisory Committee, so we're only dealing with the road closure or the partial road closure. Val, Tracy, do either of you have any questions?
Great event. Love it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
That's
you.
easy. So, go ahead.
All set.
Great. All right. Well, with that, Val, would you like to read the motion?
Sure. I move to approve the road closure of Harbor Loop on Saturday, September 17th, 2022, rain date Sunday, September 18th, 2022, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. Vehicular traffic will be managed in a bottleneck manner as directed by the Gloucester Police Department. This event is covered under the city's general liability insurance. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the city reserves the right to cancel any permitted event up to and including the day of the event, and I so move.
And we have second. Second, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Doesn't look like it. Quick night for you, Officer Parody. Roll call vote.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. We got to do a quick vote though. We got to keep it legal here. With the roll call vote, Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor O'Neill,
Yes.
Councilor Gross says yes. We're all ready to go. Thank you very much and have a good
Thank
evening.
you, everyone. Take care.
Excellent. All right. The next thing I just want to take out of order in case anybody who is attending the meeting is waiting for zoning discussions. Because of a scheduling conflict with Greg Catamatori, our planning director, and the interim community development director, who we'd hope to have here for questions and discussions about the various zoning amendments that we're going to be picking up, the ones that were tabled involving the height and the 3-family by right, all the ones that are not before us in the public hearing at the moment. We are going to shift those until April 20th P&D subcommittee meeting, so 2 weeks. And that will then, Greg is back until April 12th, and April 12th is the continuation of the public hearing on the original 6 motions that we have before us in the open public hearing. And we're going to continue that, I believe, until April 26th, which is the next city council meeting after that. The amendments that deal with the height and dimensional table issues of height and the 3-family by right will be discussed at April 20th P&D meeting, but will not be before us at a public hearing until, I believe, we looked at the schedule at May 10th, I think is the.
May 10th. Yeah, we'll
10th.
just continue that on the
Yeah.
20th.
So nothing's happening on those until the 20th, and then the continued public hearing that would have been on the 12th is going to be continued until April 26th. So that is that. Any questions? Cool. All right, then we're going to be done here by like 5:45. Special event application request for street closures regarding the block parties on July 16th, August 13th, and September 2nd, 2022. Sarah Bowen, that's you. Could you introduce yourself and
Unmute.
yeah, you need to unmute. There you go. That's it.
There you go. Sorry about that. Thank
Not
you
a
so
problem.
much. So my name's Sarah. I'm the events director with the Greater Cape Ann Chamber. And so we're looking to host the block parties, like you mentioned, in July, August, and September. The events would be the same as they have been in years past, with street closures from Pleasant and Duncan down through Main Street, ending at Washington Street.
That it?
About, yeah, it's,
All right.
I mean, we'll have performers and vendors throughout the street, but
Right.
in terms of street closures, those would be our needs.
Okay, and you also have been before the special committee, our special events committee, and all that's been approved and taken care of.
Yes,
So we
I
don't have to
have.
deal with any of that. Do you have any questions from the other counselors? No? Counselor Gilman? Nothing?
No, Great event.
We all love the block parties, right?
We
All
do.
right, in that case, I give you the pleasure of reading the monumentally long motion.
Okay, and I think I will read it, the whole thing, rather than.
Okay.
waive.
Member 545.
So I move to approve the road closure of Main Street from Duncan Street to Washington Street in order for the Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce to hold the Downtown Block Party Series on Saturday, July 16th, 2022, Saturday, August 13th, 2022, and Friday, September 2nd, 2022, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Road to be closed between the hours of 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. with the following conditions. Number 1, no vendor merchant setups on the sidewalk blocking entrance ways to retail or residential units, hydrants, crosswalks, or handicap ramps. Number 2, all vendor setups in the street are to allow for no less than a 10-foot unobstructed drivable area along the entire route, slightly wider at the curve of 85 Main Street to maintain adequate access for emergency vehicles. Failure to provide a 10-foot unobstructed margin of drivable area may necessitate the removal or relocation of the vendor merchant at the discretion of the fire department, the police department, or the block party committee. Number 3, the organizers shall allow the fire department drive-through access with a fire engine at the convenience of the fire department. Number 4, any restaurant merchant setup of tables and chairs, tents, or area enclosures should extend into the street no further than the lines painted on the street for vehicular, help me with that word, I'm struggling with it.
Vehicular.
Vehicular, the emphasis in the wrong syllable.
Vehicular. It's Majorca.
Number 5, that all of the side streets, Short, Porter, Center, and Hancock Streets shall not be blocked by vendors, food establishments, tables, chairs, enclosures, equipment, or vehicles. So emergency vehicles may enter and exit Main Street as needed. Number 6, vendor merchants shall be responsible for their own trash removal. Number 7, signs indicating the location of comfort stations shall be the responsibility of the block party committee. 8, plumbing codes and regulations shall be adhered to regarding use of restaurant bathroom facilities. Number 9, special lighting and electrical requirements necessitate approval of the inspector of buildings and the electrical inspector. Number 10, the closure of the street at the intersection of Main and Short, Porter, Center, and Hancock Streets must be by means of sawhorses or the like, as directed by the Gloucester Police Department. Number 11, it's a responsibility of the block party committee to procure any other necessary federal, state, and local permits and approvals associated with this event. Number 12, that the committee makes reasonable notification to all residents and merchants along the route that will be affected by the closure. Number 13, restaurants or vendors wishing to serve food restaurants or vendors wishing to serve food outside must notify the Board of Health 7 days in advance for approval and must obtain any necessary approval of the block party committee. Number 14, conditions or permitting requirements imposed by the Gloucester Licensing Board shall also apply and shall become incorporated herein as to the outdoor sidewalk service of food and alcohol. Number 15, all other applicable laws, city ordinances, and/or regulations are in full force, including ordinances regarding blocking of sidewalks. The police department will enforce these requirements in the interest of public safety. Number 16, the block party committee shall also adhere to any requirements expressed by the Special Event Advisory Committee, including that A, that a letter from the office of the mayor be provided assuring that the event is covered under the City of Gloucester's liability insurance, and B, that this approval is based on the Gloucester Block Party Street Plan on file in the city clerk's office from previous years. Number 17, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the city reserves a right to cancel any permitted event up to and including the day of the event, and I so move.
second,
Val, could you read that again? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Any questions, any concerns? Okay. With that, we'll do a roll call vote. And I'm going to start with Tracy. Councilor O'Neill.
oh my, yes.
All right. Because it's a special event. Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Councilor Gross says yes. Thank you very much for coming. Sorry we didn't do this last time, but we usually have to like people to be here so that if we do have any questions, it's not a problem. All right.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you and have fun.
Thank
Right?
you. Bye-bye. See
Okay.
you all there. Bye.
All right. Now we have got the special event application request for street closures for the Lone Goal 10K road race on September 25th, 2022. And for that, we have Mr. Femino.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for allowing us to present here. The race is September 25th. It's Nautilus Road. We need to close. It's our 15th year of doing the race. It's the 10th year for the deaf school doing the race. And with CODA in mind, you should know that we have to raise money because we have this parent-infant program where our faculty and teachers go to homes that are in a crisis with deafness, either parents with hearing children or deaf children or impaired hearing in homes. And for the 20 or so years we've been doing this program, it's not covered by the insurances, so we pay. And so we do many fundraisers, and this is one of them. So it's kind of amazing that Gloucester is going what it's going through. You know,
Wow.
our school's been around since 1876 doing this sort of thing. So, but the race itself, it's going to be, again, best field in New England will be there. It's the 9th year in a row we've hosted the championship race. We had an Olympian who got a bronze medal this past Olympics, who came in and won the women's division at Lone Gull 2 years ago. We expect the same thing. Usually the top 10 runners are going to the Olympic trials. The fields are going to be smaller. We've had a field as big as 1,500, but because of COVID, it's off throughout the country, and I expect it still will be by September. We moved the race a week further back away from summer because we just thought it would be even better to get away from the heat and the people that want to go to the beach. Again, we're done with this race at 10:30 in the morning and everyone's leaving. It starts at 9, the race is over in about an hour and people are gone. We have a very experienced workforce, people from the school, from the deaf school, and a lot of sponsorships that can pay for everything. And, we hire 6 cruisers and we have 2 ambulance companies and we have a doctor there, and a few doctors there, and we do everything we can. Everybody on the course gets a letter, especially the people directly in the neighborhood on Nautilus. So we do everything we can and we try to always make it better. Thank you. I'll stop.
Very good. Any questions from the committee?
Yes, excuse me. What was the name of the school again?
It's the Children's Center for Communication. It's the old, and it's the Beverly School for the Deaf.
Okay, okay,
And we changed the name because it's not just deafness anymore, though we have 100% deaf students. We also have students with hearing impairments and other serious medical conditions. So they're in wheelchairs, they have all these other issues
yep.
that go along with also the inability to communicate, basically. We've been around since 1876. Helen Keller even visited the campus in 1911. So
Oh, wow.
it's quite a
Alright.
place.
Thank
gotta
you very
thank-
much.
Yeah.
Very noble.
Val, did you have any questions or
Yeah,
comments?
I have a question. It's a little bit off topic, but I think it's kind of timely.
Yep.
So Len, I love everything that you do. And one of my questions is if we are able to get the cast of CODA to come visit Gloucester because they so much want to come out so they can share
Yep.
their trophy. I would love it if maybe folks from your organization could come out and teach all of the citizens of Gloucester how to sign to say something
Absolutely.
like, we love you and congratulations. And I just,
Let's love you.
so if you would maybe consider that, it would just be awesome if we could just get a couple of signals to be able to share with all the residents of Gloucester so we could really join in the excitement and share it with.
We would love to do that. And there'll be so many that will want to go up there. We were in the Salem News because one of our teachers is a CODA. She fit the exact profile and she talked about it in the Salem News. And so, yes, Mark Carlson is the executive director and I'll talk to him about it tomorrow. He'll be in my office anyway, but absolutely. So please let us know what's going on. And we have beautiful signers too. It's an art form, and to see what they do is pretty amazing.
Well,
Awesome.
I'm super excited for you, especially this year. I think it's gonna, we may end up having a really brilliant turnout. And I think anything we can do to augment that, we should try to do.
So at the race, we also sign. So at the race, when people are speaking, there's a signer up there, including for the national anthem, which is gorgeous.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh,
All right. Anything else? Nope. We're going to do a roll call vote. Counselor Gilman? you
I
had your
haven't done the motion yet.
Oh, you're going to get picky on me here. All right, Val, go ahead and read the motion. Sorry.
I move to approve the road closure of Nautilus Road from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Sunday, September 25th, 2022, with a rain date of October 2nd, 2022. The event, the Lone Gull 10K Road Race, sponsored by the Children's Center for Communication, is to be held on Sunday, September 25th, 2022, from 9 a.m. until 10:45 a.m. with a rain date of October 2nd, 2022, with the following conditions. Number one, a certificate of insurance naming the city of Gloucester as an additional insured party has been filled with the city clerk's office. Number two, road closure plan, approvals of the special events advisory committee giving approval of the plans for the Lone Gull 10K road race have been given. Roads to be closed in the back shore are to be marked with signage directing the public as to the duration of the closure and alternative routes. Traffic and parking plan and police detail information by the police chief or his designee is to be filed with the city clerk or the DPW director or his designee on or before September 15th, 2022. Refuse and all event refuse and recycling must be removed by the organizer. If any portable toilets with 2 handicapped accessible are to be provided and maintained by the organizer, they are to be placed the evening before the day of the event or early in the morning of the day of the event and removed by 1 p.m. Sunday, September 25th, 2022. Number 4, emergency services. Any EMS requirements of the city EMS director must be met. Number 5, staffing. Event staff is to have cell phones and to be identified by the public with distinct shirts. A list of event staff and their cell phone numbers is to be submitted to the police, fire, or DPW departments. Number 6, notification of immediate abutters and businesses to race route. Notice shall be made by the event organizer by hand or by mail no later than 7 days in advance of the event to any function halls, motels, and hotels and other businesses along the race route. Number 7, responsibility of the Children's Center for Communication. It is the sole responsibility of the Children's Center for Communication to ensure that all required documentation is timely filed with the appropriate city departments as indicated. Failure to comply with any conditions precedent may result in permit revocation. Any changes to the route must receive prior approval from the police and fire departments. Number 8, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the city reserves the right to cancel any permitted event up to and including the date of the event, and I so move.
second,
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? Nope. All right. Again, thank you for coming in. We'll do a roll call vote. Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor O'Neill,
yes.
Counselor Gross says yes. Thank you very much. Have a great event.
Thank you
And
very much.
I hope it's particularly special this year.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank
All
you.
right. Now we're just cranking through this here tonight. We are on to renewal of special permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 148, Section 56, and the Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Section 22-153, privately owned open airspace for the Minuteman Cinemas Incorporated doing business as Gloucester Cinema outdoor parking permit at Essex Avenue number 74. And with that, we have John Williams.
Am I doing this right now?
You're good. If you want to turn your video on, you can. You don't have to.
Well, let's say I won't because I don't know how.
Okay.
I'm trying to give me 1 second to get my wife to take over for me.
All right.
Guys, this couple and that couple needs tickets. Okay. Getting a show.
While we're waiting for you, Mr. Williams, I'm going to remind the
I'm
attendees.
ready.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I'm just going to remind any attendees that are listening in on the call that we have moved, or we have postponed any discussion on the zoning amendments until the next P&D meeting, April 20th, and also the public hearing that is going to be continued on April 12th will be continued to April 26th. So if you're on the call for those discussions and you don't want to hang out for the rest of it, you can enjoy your evening. All right, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
fire away.
So we are looking for a renewal of our parking permit. We have, I believe it's 25 spaces that we charge $5 for. We don't really make much money on this, but it makes our lives much easier. Because what happens when we don't have this is people come in and they're going across the street or next door to the restaurant. And they used to yell and scream at us when we asked them not to park here. And when we charge them, they just leave. So, we probably make a small profit. We might make $100 a year, over what we pay. But it's really nice to have so that people aren't yelling and screaming at us.
Okay. Well, anything else you'd like to add to that? This is a renewal, so you do this. You do a renewal every 5 years. You do the permit every year, but you do the renewal every 5 years.
Yes.
And we
Yes,
have
and I don't believe we've had any problems.
no. Sherry, correct me, we have to have a public hearing on this, or is this settled here? No, this is it.
No, it does have to go for public hearing and it'll be advertised for April 26th, if that's
All right.
agreeable. Yeah.
Okay,
And
good.
just to answer your question, Council Grow, there have been no complaints from either the police or the building inspector over the
Wow.
last 5 years.
Did you like divine my question? Because I don't even remember asking that.
Well, you did, you kind of
No, I
asked
did?
that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember asking, who are you people? All right, well, do we have any questions from the council? Tracy, you have any questions about this? It's pretty straight-
No, I think that was a wonderful solution that you came up with, John. Very innovative, very good.
Yeah, it's
All right.
wonderful for us.
Good for
All
you.
right. Well, in that case, do we have a motion that we can go with? Al?
Sure. I move to recommend that the city council renew the license for Minuteman Cinemas, Inc., doing business as Gloucester Cinema, comma, John Williams, comma, owner at 74 Essex Avenue, map 218, lot 118, property owned by Tally's Trust, for an open-air parking lot under GCO Section 22-153, comma, for 104 parking spaces, with a parking space designated as reserved for fire department connection, for a total of 103 parking spaces, of which 4 are designated as handicap parking spaces, based on a parking plan by Jonathan Poor Architectural Design and Restoration, 965A Washington Street, Gloucester, Mass. 01930, dated December 12th, 90. The license runs from May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2027, and I so move.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Just for a quick question for Sherry, if you could clarify, the permit is only for 25 spaces, but we actually have to indicate the entire size of the parking lot, is that right?
From my conversation with the city clerk, yes, we went over the motion together.
Okay, all right. So even though the motion says 104, 103 spaces, only 25 are actually covered under the actual
Correct.
permit for
Right.
for use. Okay, correct. All right. Is there any discussion on the motion? None. All right, simple. We have a motion, a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Gilman,
Yes,
Councilor O'Neill,
yes.
Councilor Gross says yes. Have fun with that coda traffic. I mean, traffic, I mean,
thank
lots of
you.
tickets. I mean, not traffic. I mean, lots of tickets.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right. That leads us to the final event this evening, I believe, which is the special council permit 2022-002 Main Street, number 222, map 13, lot 17, Gloucester zoning ordinance sections 2.3.18. Conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 7 or more dwelling units to convert from a 3-family to a 7-family dwelling in the central business district. This is continued from the 16th, and we have Attorney Meredith Fine for the applicant.
Mr. Chairman, before we get to the substance, I wonder if I could bring up a housekeeping item for Councilor Gilman.
Sure.
Councilor Gilman, I'm on the licensing board agenda next Tuesday. I'm doing the liquor license for the Rudder. So is it okay with you if I come on to the city council meeting when I'm done with the licensing board? Like, I don't know when I'm gonna be done with the licensing board.
Oh, you mean for this to be heard at the
April 12th.
Right.
Yeah. I have no problem with that. I think we can juggle it. So maybe you could just have my cell phone and give me a heads up when you're there in terms of what time. We can do that offline.
Yeah, I think I have your number. But I just wanted to ask you if that was all right, just, this licensing board is earlier than the city council.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a
Okay.
problem. We can just take you out of order if you're not there yet. So just signal to me, that would be great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the way that we left this was, that the chair had asked Greg Cadamatori and Jill Cahill, and I think that this assistant city solicitor and the building inspector were also copied on the note, I think, asking for some input into the whether this ordinance applies to new construction and whether the ordinance could be applied retroactively. We were promised an answer by the 31st. I don't believe any of us has gotten an answer.
We got an answer. I was under the impression that you had been given a copy of this as well. So
No.
the answer is that both Bill and Bill Sanborn, the building inspector, and Chris Nabasu, the assistant city attorney, have agreed that this is applicable only to the creation of 6 units. And so that would their viewpoint on this, and I have to tell you right up front that I totally disagree with it, is that only 4 units are being created. So that would seem to give us the indication that we can't apply the inclusionary housing regulation specifically as a condition of the application. But as I mentioned to you, we'll talk about the other aspect of this, and we can get into that in a minute. Is there anything else so Tracy, I sent you and Val both received a copy of this?
Yes.
I mean, I checked the file today. I did not get a copy, and I'd love a copy.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was told that we weren't supposed to send this out. My assumption had been that you had been contacted. So my apologies for that. That's a misunderstanding of the chain of command that I didn't really realize. But anyway, it sounds like it lets you off the hook from an ordinance point of view. Now, the question is, does it let you off the hook in terms of a conditional permit point of view?
So just so that the other members know what Mr. Groh and I are talking about, he kindly sent me which I appreciated, sent me a heads up of his position on this application. I don't know if you want to express it, Mr. Groh, that you think.
My position is that, one, I understand that we have. By the way, could you mind introducing your?
No, I just remembered. With me is Stephen Martin, who is the manager of the LLC that owns the building.
I was about 45 minutes away from my computer. It was just easier for me to come here, so that's why I'm here. I do own a computer.
So where we are right now is that the applicant wants the legitimizing of a 7-unit housing structure in the central business district. What we don't have is building permits or any sort of indication as to when the 3 units were created and when the 4 units were created. So it was my contention at the last meeting that this permit creates 7 legal units, because right now you don't have any legal units based on the documentation that the city has on file and anything that you've been able to present to us.
I see.
Is that fair? I mean,
no, we have had 3 legal units. 3 legal units were allowed by right in that district.
okay, all
And
right.
we have documentation, which I've presented, from previous owners of the building.
About the existence of them.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's been 7 units for a long, long time.
Okay. So my concern was that I believe that the inclusionary housing zoning ordinance should apply. However, it doesn't. But in the application, the applicant specifically says the owner intends to maintain the units as affordable. And as we have learned rather the hard way in the last few months, talking about affordable housing or affordable housing, that has a very specific definition. And for me, I feel like there has to be an intention by the owner to actually act on that creation of a dedicated affordable unit. And I'll explain why. Because with respect, Mr. Martin, you're a real estate investor. You could own this property for a day, you could own it for 10 years. I don't know that. All I know is that once you have a 7-unit permit, you can come in, sell the building, which is perfectly, these are all with reasonable things that one might do with the property. You might renovate evict the existing tenants and renovate those units and sell them at a top dollar market rate that you can do. That's something that, given the fact that Gloucester seems, hang on just a second, that seems to be changing, is a perfectly possible thing to do. And given the fact that your company and Crane Properties and that you specialize in distressed properties and rebuilding and renovating properties, from what I understand on the websites. So anyway, and again, this may have nothing to do with you. You may not do any of this stuff.
Correct.
But the point is that someone in the future can. And when it gets down to the issue of changing the character of the neighborhood or the fiscal impact in the community, things like that. I made some notes here. I'm going to see if I can find them here. So we have economic or social economic or community needs served by the proposal. As long as they remain affordable, that is a good thing for the community. But if they turn into luxury condos sold at market rate and begin a chain of gentrification in that area, that's not a long-term good plan for our neighborhood. So I want to get my support for this permit. I want the applicant to dedicate 1 unit in the 7 unit to be affordable voluntarily.
May I respond? Or?
Yeah, please do.
So obviously you can't condition this approval on making a unit affordable.
All right.
But I want to address the underlying substance of what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share. May I share my screen, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
So last year, when you all were updating this section of the zoning ordinance, Mr. Catamatore made this presentation to P&D and to the full council. And it shows, and this is a year ago, admittedly,
Right.
but it shows the subsidized, what the rent would be for an affordable, designated affordable unit in accordance with the state requirements. And so that's what I'm showing you here, is that these are the state mandated affordable requirements for Gloucester. Almost all of the units are already under this amount. So designating a unit, certainly today, is not going to make any change to the affordability of these units. Now, let's look at this building. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, about gentrification. I understand that people are concerned about it. I get that. But this is a building, it's 4 stories with no elevator. The apartments are tiny. There's no parking. There's no view.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a view, maybe
On the roof.
But it's not, these are, and this is the hottest, this is a tremendously hot market right now, right? We all know people who can't find a place to rent. So in this hot market, the owner is not turning these units into condos. He's renting them to people from Action. And these folks have no history of flipping multifamily buildings. This is not a building that is a likely candidate for gentrification. Now, just because the owners don't want to add a deed restriction doesn't make them hypocrites. Nobody wants a deed restriction. They bought a building that does not have deed restriction. They financed the building that doesn't have a deed restriction. The building they bought in good faith and financed with the Cape Ann Savings Bank did not have a deed restriction. Deed restrictions are, it's a serious business. It changes the financing of a building. It changes the assessed value of the building. It changes, at some point, the 20, 30 years down the road, whatever, the marketability of a building. A deed restriction is a serious thing, and it shouldn't be done lightly. And so the fact that the owners would rather not have one just makes them like most of us who don't want to have a deed restriction on their property.
I didn't suggest anything other than that. I'm just suggesting that right now we're dealing with this slice of time, and we have to think about the slice of time moving forward. So I appreciate the fact that the rents are right now sub affordability in terms of that thing, that level and that 80% AMI. But that doesn't prevent that from changing tomorrow. I mean, I guess I asked you the first time when you came before us, why bother with a special permit at this point? You've got 7 units, you've got, you have everything you want right now. So what do you need the permit for?
The lender wants the building to be legal.
Okay.
The Cape Ann Savings Bank, God love them, they want the building to be legal. We want the building to be legal.
Yeah.
And I think it encourages I think making this process painless, relatively painless, would encourage other property owners to come forward and make their buildings legal as well.
You seem to have a lot of that going on right now.
Yeah, I know. I talked to.
I want it to be legal too, but I also want a deed restricted unit in there because frankly, again, without no disrespect to Mr. Martin, I'm not thinking about Mr. Martin right now. Mr. Martin can walk away tomorrow, sell the building, whatever he wants to do. And now we have a building that has no requirement for affordability in the future, especially in a neighborhood that really needs it. And I think that if you want the permit to get my vote, I'm one of 9, excuse me. So I can be overruled. My support is contingent on a voluntary dedication of 1 unit affordability. And that's fine. You can shake your head, but that's what's going to get my yes vote.
I think the city attorney is telling you that you can't do that.
No, the city attorney is telling us that we can't invoke the inclusionary housing zone.
Right.
I'm telling you that I am not going to vote for this permit unless you do that.
But it meets all the requirements.
Well,
It actually meets all the requirements of a special permit.
I think it potentially could change the character of the neighborhood if it was sold and renovated. I think it could change a number of the factors in here. The neighborhood character and social structure could change if it was bought and renovated and turned into individual condos. I'm not against condos. I'm just saying, these are things that we have to think about down the road. And if I'm overturned in the land court, so be it. But my position is my point of view is that I'm going to condition my vote, not the permit, but my vote on whether or not they voluntarily do this. It's not uncommon for conditions to be put on projects to get them approved. If they want the permit, that's what they're going to have to do for me. Other councilors may have completely different viewpoints on this, and I respect all of those. I'm just telling you from one of 9, that's where I stand. Councilor Gilman, you had a hand up?
So I'd like to, I'm the one that had brought this up at our first meeting, 2 meetings ago, as a question that I had about having 1 deed restriction because there were more than 6 units. And I guess to piggyback on what Councilor Grow has said, something that captured me when I looked over this application was what you said under the detailed explanation of the request. And basically it said that the owner intends to maintain the units as affordable, which is wonderful. You showed us the numbers, you have a partnership with Action. That's all great. But we're giving you something now. You're asking us to give you something that will stay with this property if Mr. Martin decides to sell it. And so we don't have an assurance from Mr. Martin that this new person that buys it is going to have the same good intentions that Mr. Martin has had to generously offer the Action folks the type of AMI that is appropriate at their income level, which is very appreciated and it's very noble, and we appreciate, and I can't begin to say how much that means to us. So I guess in just looking at this, it would have been, I would have felt more comfortable if you didn't even mention the whole thing of affordable and then not be willing to put something in this that would transfer to a new owner. And I understand the legal, the legal interpretation of the word create. I understand that. But I don't necessarily agree. So I'm troubled with this, Attorney Fine, right now. And, you know, we want to work with you. We love what you're doing. And this is just, it's just not feeling real good for me right now. I mean, I'm probably tonight going to vote to support it, but I have to, I'm losing sleep over feeling that this just seems, I'd love it if you would just offer one deed restricted unit, just for principle. I know you don't have to, but it just seems like it would be.
You're asking a lawyer to act on principle?
Only you, Meredith, only you, everybody else. No.
I object. Let me ask you this, just for the sake of discussion. I mean, what happens if the permit were turned down? Because like, what would be the real life result of turning down this permit?
I have to tell you, I don't really know. I didn't know why you came in the first place, but I mean, obviously you came to legalize a 7-unit family or 7-unit building, and that's understandable. I don't know from your perspective. I mean, it really comes down to your perspective of what it means for you to not have a not illegally permitted structure. I don't know if that complicates doing future work, doing future sales, doing anything involving you know, the management of the building, but I don't know what it means from the city.
It would, I think my fear is that it would be a default on his mortgage.
Right. The bank would object, right? Because that's one of their conditions.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm not saying that the bank would, but my concern is the bank could. And I mean.
And then you're left with an illegal building.
And then we got a big problem.
Well, then it seems to me that that's a motivation to go along with voluntarily deed restricting 1 unit. I mean, you're getting the legalization of an illegal structure at this point, and the city's asking you to essentially codify your willingness to keep the units affordable, even if that's just 1 unit. That is what the city wants out of this. That's what this council, I mean, this is what this councilor wants out of it. Again, you know, you can make the argument, and perhaps you'll get 8 other councilors to disagree with my position of it. But my position is that you're asking for a permit. You have an illegal building. You bought the building without having the legality of it checked, and you're kind of stuck with it at this point.
That's not true.
Okay, well,
for the record, we all
right.
knew that we knew it didn't have the right permit when we bought it.
Yeah, I wasn't.
But the bank said, "Oh, fine, we'll let you buy it, but you have to go get the permits."
Okay, so
I just want to be.
that's fair. I'm not privy to all the stuff that happened behind it, but at this point, you know, we've been, you know, beaten around the head and neck about the need for ensuring that we are cognizant and proactive in terms of affordable housing. And again, if you know, I appreciate that Bill and Krishna disagree with the interpretation of the ordinance, but that's going to be our next step. Our next step is to clarify the ordinance so that there's no ambiguity whatsoever about this moving forward. But that obviously doesn't affect you. You're in the gray zone right now between what was the ordinance, which used to be, if they kept the language the same, would have essentially tripped the inclusionary housing ordinance, because the previous language of the ordinance was that any project involving 8 units or more. Well, as soon as we can, it's going to say involving 6 units or more. Okay, and this is the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
But you're in a position now where you need a permit from the city for your building. We need affordable housing that's dedicated. Again, like Councilor Gilman said, she echoes what I have to say, or I echo what she has to say. We appreciate the fact that the rents right now are below the current levels, but we're looking at a timeline out to the distant future. And, you know, we have to be aware that you know, there are plenty of investors who are coming in and buying units and sprucing them up and selling them for a lot more money, which is, again, that's what real estate investors do. No problem. I understand that. But we at the city level and the council level have to do what we can to protect at every opportunity the creation of affordable housing. long-term, and that's what this is. So, you know,
I don't think you have the authority to do it, but
okay,
that's why you have your attorney and he has his attorney.
right, that's
Um,
fine.
He has other folks who also own the LLC with him, so
Yeah.
we can't give you an answer tonight without talking to them.
Okay, I understand that, and that's why I wanted to give you the heads up. I didn't want to spring this on you at the last second. And I haven't spoken with either Val or Tracy about this because of open meeting law, but you know, I think we've got that out. Tracy, did you have anything you wanted to ask? Or
I
talk?
just want to back you up, Jason. I think I would have to agree with you because that's a huge building. And with the gentrification of the, oh my God, I can't even think, Camerons and
Well, if they wanted to put another Camerons there, I'd be all
Yeah.
for it.
yeah, but I mean, they
yeah.
changed it to condos, right? Aren't those
No,
all condos?
Camerons is an dedicated affordable
Okay,
structure, but my
Yeah.
point is that they could turn this
Yeah.
thing into individual owner occupied, which again, I don't care. I don't care.
and
what
it's
the
a huge,
ownership is,
it's a huge building. So,
and it certainly could be expanded.
You know,
Yeah.
So,
I've been holding it for a while.
so
So-
that's my 2 cents.
all right. So I'm gonna turn to you, Attorney Fine, and ask you what you'd like to do at this point.
I'd like you to vote, I think, and let's get to the public hearing.
Okay, we can
I
do
mean,
that.
I think we've aired it out. I appreciate how much time you've given us and the thought that you're putting into it. And I just assume get in front of the council.
I think it's really important, Mr. Martin, to understand that this is absolutely not personal. I don't know you, and this is entirely has to do with the application. You know, you can hold onto this property for the next 30 years, and I will feel the fool for being this way. But at the end of the day,
That is truly our intention, to be completely honest. And I get you have to, for future, but that
Yeah.
is our intention.
well, I will give you a little history on this, and there's what I would love to do with you sometime is take you to the assisted living center that we have up at Gloucester Crossing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we don't have one.
Oh.
And we don't have one because we gave the benefit of the doubt, and long-term, we got burned. And at the end of the day, unfortunately for you, that puts me in a position of being a little bit more careful about allowing that kind of flexibility. If you say that you want to keep things affordable, I'm all for it, but I want you to put it in writing. So anyway, so shall we have a motion on this? Val, you got a motion?
Sure do. I move to recommend that the city council grant to 222 Main Street Holdings LLC a special council permit 2022-002 for the property located at Main Street, number 222, Assessors Map 13, Lot 17 in the Central Business District, pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance, Section 2.3.1, Section 8. Conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 7 or more dwelling units to convert from a 3-family to a 7-family dwelling. This permit is made on the basis of plans and elevations dated November 14th, 2020, and submitted to the city clerk on February 9th, 2022, entitled Floor Plans for 222 Main Street, Gloucester, and plan dated June 24th, 2020, and submitted February 9th, 2022, entitled Mortgage Inspection Plan located at 222 Main Street, Gloucester. Subject to new information and or debate that results from the public hearing, this special permit is deemed to be in harmony with the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance, and I so move.
A second?
Second,
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We've already done a bit of discussion, but is there any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Gilman, do you have anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do need to mention some legal things. I think it's important to review some of the high points of section 1.8.3 before we vote this. It's been shared with us that there will not be any effect on traffic because these existing units have been there. We are dealing in a dense downtown. There have been 4 additional units on site for many years. And it appears that there's been no harm to the natural environment. The applicant is seeking to certify the building configuration that's existed for decades. It is a mixed commercial residential facility. The additional residential unit, I will say, if remains as affordable for future owners, would increase the city's affordable rental housing stock, which is helpful. But I have to say it the way I just said it, because it's all predicated on what a new owner might decide to do. So that's the edgy part of my my discussion of the standards to be applied. But other than that, I think it's noble what you're doing right now. And this is a tough one for me. I'll probably vote it positively tonight, but I'm definitely on the fence based on what comes forward for next week. And I really wish that I wasn't on the fence, because I know you need 6 votes for this. But I will give you a yes vote tonight, but like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it.
Councilor O'Neill, would you like to weigh in?
I vote no, I'm sorry.
We're not voting yet, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I know the area very well, so, and I also know there are zoning changes coming soon, so anything could happen. So I won't be supporting this.
Okay. I think I made my position clear. I'd like to support this. I'd like the applicant to voluntarily dedicate a unit as following up on their intention to maintain the units as affordable. Again, I know that this is not something that he may have any intention to, but we have to look at it from the long game and whether or not future owners might share that intention or not. And so based on the unless we hear differently on the night, I at this point will not be supporting this special permit. So we're going to have a roll call vote. Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor O'Neill,
Sadly, no.
Councilor Grow is a no. So this will motion fails. This will be moved to the public hearing. This is only our recommendation. It's advertised for public hearing on April 12th. Is that correct, Sherry? Yep.
Yes, April 12th.
So we'll see what the rest of the council has to say.
Okay, and I can't have that email from just for.
I was told no. I don't know why, but
It's legal, probably because it's legal advice.
it's legal. Yeah. So I'm going to just say that they both concurred with that opinion. But you know me, I don't agree with anybody. So, all right, Mr. Martin, I appreciate your patience tonight. I'm sure it's probably very frustrating to sit here and listen to this stuff, but again, nothing personal, but we're looking at the long haul here. We don't have anything else on the agenda. Is that correct? I'm all set to go. Thank you very much, Attorney Fine.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Martin, folks who've been listening on the attendees, that will conclude our evening for tonight, or tonight for our agenda for tonight. Motion to get out of here.
Second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. It's been moved and seconded twice. Roll call vote. Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor O'Neill,
Yes.
Councilor Grow gratefully says yes. Good night, Sherry Corrales. Thank you very much for all you've done. Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Sherry.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Thank you,
you.
Jason, for
Thank you. Good night.
all that. Honestly, truly, I appreciate it.
All right.
Good night.
Night.
There.
So-